Good evening, Patriots, and welcome to the Q Lounge Live. Hi, I'm your host, Shady Groove, and this is the Truth for Freedom channel. It is just after 7 p.m. on the West Coast this Friday night. How is all the Q people out there in Misfit Island? Been a couple weeks since I've been here with you. Really amazing stuff is happening all over the place. We have tons and tons of Q drops that have come down the last couple of weeks since I've been gone, and we also have a lot of new stuff to share with you tonight, specifically about more in-depth dives that we've done on a lot of these different issues regarding Q and what is expand your thinking and exactly what is meant by that and what are we really looking at and how much do we really have. So much that we really have that we're still yet to uncover out here. I want to say something real quick right off the top here. You'll notice a bunch of wonderful mods out there. They're here to help you, they're here to bring sauce, and they're here to show you links and direct you in the conversation. Keep you on track out there, and please be nice to them and they'll be nice to you. This is our living room. We see this as our living room, and we see this as a gathering, as a circle coming together to let each one of us understand how important the other one is, how we're all completely a part of this together. This is not about any one of us. This is about what we're doing here and what we're doing together and how fast can we wake up the masses, okay? So if you're new to Q, please feel free to hang out and ask questions and join us. We're a very welcoming group, and we are attempting to cover extraordinarily complex issues here, and we are putting together pieces of a puzzle that is a 1,000-year-old illusion and a matrix that has been built around us all as humanity and placed us in these different mindsets of fear and the different mindsets of distrust for one another and the division and separating us. And so the message that we're bringing here as the Q movement is unity with our president, and unity with the idea of freedom, and unity with the idea of each other's ability to bring very relevant, current topics and information to a conversation, and depending on each other and realizing how easy it is to depend on each other and how important it is to find this fabric that we've kind of found to be involved again in this pop culture, like I like to refer to it as. We have pieces of the puzzle, and we're all learning together to put them together. We're all working in real time, and it's a complex issue. And so we've done quite a bit of shows over the past 6 months and put together a lot of information on the Q Lounge Live. And I would like to just point out that throughout the last 6 months, it's been kind of a documentary of how our lives were going and what we were seeing and what was being revealed to us. And so all the live streams that we do are rebroadcast on the Truth for Freedom channel. You can find those anytime. Go in there. We'd love to come here and do the live thing for everybody, because it's really a lot of fun, and really getting everybody together in the moment and being together is really important to a lot of us. So please, out there in the chat, if you have questions and if you like to participate more in the conversation, don't hesitate to ask these guys. And if we're talking about stuff and you're looking for links, please realize that you can pay attention. And a lot of the times they're posting the links there to different things for you, and they may have already been placed in there. So let's kind of keep things moving along here. I would tonight we are actually joined by my really good friend in the Matrix from Twitter, and he's going to come in here and have a little meeting with us. Let's give him a little intro here. My great friend at In the Matrix here joining us tonight. Do I have you on there, 5'5" Matrix?
Hey, Shady. Hello, YouTube. How's everybody doing tonight?
Matrix, so glad to have you back. I've been gone a couple of weeks, and it's just like it seems like it's been 3 months, man, and everything is moving so fast. How you been this week, there, bud?
Man, I've been doing great, man. I think we've all needed our Shady fix. So thanks for coming on tonight. Missed you. I know you had a lot of cool stuff going on in your life, and just been missing you guys. And I've had an amazing last week or so. I was cued.
A couple of times.
Yeah, right. It's been amazing. I did a presentation over at War Drummer. Sean, thank you very much for having me over there. I did the PAYSEUR thing, and it's finally got out to a lot of people. You were part of that dig as well, and a lot of people here in this YouTube channel. So I really want to just extend my sincere thanks to everybody in this room. Much love to all of you. Thank you.
Yeah,
It's been quite a week.
Yeah, quite a week. Yeah, I actually saw the productions you did with War Drummer over there, and really getting to that larger audience and starting to penetrate this membrane. That's kind of this bubble that us as conspiracy analysts have been held into for so long. We're really starting to see this message penetrate the cerebral nature of humanity now, all around the world, everywhere. You're seeing Q evidence all around the world.
Right, absolutely, all the time. And if one of the mods want to grab that video to throw it in so somebody can watch it for later, because we're going to tune in here. I've got some good stuff here for you. It's an amazing time to be alive. I'll tell you, folks. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a major change. Oh, by the way, Shady, I just saw something about healthcare. Obamacare is ruled unconstitutional. So here's a little on the 11th day of Christmas, our POTUS gave to me.
No more Obamacare.
Obamacare is unconstitutional because yesterday was the Hillary Clinton or the Clinton Foundation. So here we go. This is the 11th day of Christmas, and we're having a good time.
Yeah, and we're counting down, right, to big packages and stuff coming this way as soon as lots of Q drops have alluded to the idea of a good amount of this stuff taking place while the government is actually away for recess or away on a holiday, and so that's coming around. And also the big news this week, the Clinton Foundation hearings that were yesterday, and so lots and lots of stuff is coming around that you're starting to see on the edges of the whole conversation, and the narrative is really starting to collapse under its own weight, and we are stepping into that. I feel like we're all stepping into that vacuum here to share our ideas as well as our perspective about what they're currently saying is and is not important. We're it's a little, yeah, it's a little bit new for everybody to see, but with the different people coming to understand the Q posts and the Q drops and the stuff, the work we're doing on Twitter, and it's nice to see people plugging in. We did this, Bro Anon, who's out there, Matrix, and I put together this clock. Here's a little picture. I'll drop a link over there for you guys, but the clock video, people are really responding well to Matrix. I think that we set a groundwork there that we can build off of, because the majority of the response I was getting was extremely positive, and like people were able to get it. So that's encouraging, and it's also plugging more people in, and like we were discussing during that video, the more eyes we get on it, the more things that other parts of us see.
That's right, absolutely. And I want to let everybody know, the biggest question since our video that Bro is out there. I see him out there, Bro Anon. Hello. People have been saying, hey, where do I get the clock every day? Well, Bro Anon, original QArmy, Patriots United, basically went out and got a website, and I just dropped it in there for you all to see. It's called q-clock.com, and it's going to be really awesome. Shady, if you want to share my screen real quick, I'll show you what it looks like, because I want to just kind of quickly explain it to the folks that want to check it out.
Here you go.
Can you? Yeah. All right. So Bro has basically showed that this is the way that he reads the clock, and that you may read the clock entirely different, but he's going to give you some of the things that we've done up here. We've got the 15th of December. That's today, I believe, right? Or is that going to be tomorrow? I don't know. Yeah, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
So the 15th, this is tomorrow's clock. So 13 is the number. So you go down here and you can get 13. Okay, that's your standard. And then there's a mirror that is 25. So you're going to go over here. Let's show you 25. And there's the 25 clock. So you can, make that bigger and save it and check out all the posts. Or you can go down here to this area where it says 426, 225, 1227, 1228, and go to 829 because it's got the blue dots, or 630. Check it out. And that'll be all these posts right here. And what Bro has done too is Ash and Liv and the QArmy team has figured out next week. So he's going to tell you what the target days are to look at. Okay, right here.
But really narrowing it down. You're going to narrow, this is the idea. This is to narrow it down for you guys into the specifics of where we're looking so that you can be more oriented into, the whole clock is a lot to take in, but once you zoom in, you see more of the broader picture.
That's right. So, 13, here's the 13 clock. That's the target day, are these days right here. So if you look at 13, let's just do that for you. Target day is going to be April 19th. So you see 419 right here because it says he's going next week. Boom. So that's the target day. So, but you look at all three if you want and find future proofs past. Go find some news. Go find some Q proofs. So this is why we need you guys. It's very simple. Q-clock.com. Thank you, bro.
Yeah, and also don't hesitate to visit our Twitter pages underneath the discussions that we're having about this, and share with us what you're finding, because the news unlocks the map idea is, I'm realizing personally, Matrix, there's too much going on for any one of us to possibly interpret, and so it really becomes a necessity for everyone to participate.
Yeah, Anons, we need your help. So this is it. So come every day. Bro will have this updated as good as he can. And these are your Q clock days for the day. Boom, boom, boom. And there you go. It's that easy. 13, we go to 13. 37, 25, 55 mirror, we go to 37. 180-degree mirror, we go to 43. It's that simple, guys. The day will be listed. The clock numbers will be listed, and they're all right here. If you want to know and just see the vanilla clock, which is just the plain clock, it's very easy to see. So what's the day today? Is it 12:15? Here's 12:15 on the clock. You guys see that?
So you guys have, and a lot of then also realize that the different dates that have had Q posts on them before, we're finding that events are lining up, specific events are lining up inside the ray at different areas. So it is also it's also something to look at, compare drop to drop in that same ray of the clock, so to speak.
That's right. So bravo, bro. Thank you for doing that. This came out of his own pocket. This is another, forget the time that he spends, which is, priceless, but he did this himself. So bro, thank you very much. You're a patriot.
Yeah. And then also the link for that is down below on the videos for people watching in the future. They're linked underneath here to the video that we did on the clock. And we are in the process of getting another video, so we're going to extend that information a little bit more in depth. So we have a couple ideas to expand on that.
Right on. So thank you very much for that. And here real quick is the Q post that I got queued in. And I want to just kind of point something out since we're talking about the clock. This is the Q post right here. It says, wow, what a show. Didn't we just do the Q clock show?
Yes, sir.
Isn't that interesting?
What a show.
Right? And then here it is, and it says, and I also did a show with War Drummer, and I said, I did the trust show, I guess. You will not win. I said, you're all going to lose. So it talked about the Constitution and the vested powers of POTUS. So it was very interesting, and it linked to the In the Matrix account, which was amazing. So you go to that post, and what happens is you look at, we're talking about, wow, what a show, right? What is this Q post right here? Oops, I got the wrong one, excuse me. What is this Q post right here? What does it say? Clock activated. Good job, bro. So we talked about the Q clock. We got the Q clock right here. Just very amazing. I just think it's probably just a coincidence, though.
And then this post was actually made in March, correct?
Yes, March 24th, 2018.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out just so other people realize how this is it's very unusual because it seems like we're moving day to day, but the more we get into this, you kind of start to see this huge mosaic opening up of how we're all connected, a lot more clearly maybe than before, because you can see that all the work that we've done in the past is being connected to the news today, and also it makes us understand uh, that we're on the right track, and we could easily be moved to a different track if we're on the wrong track. And so these are signposts and different events that we are paying attention to, and Q pointing specific stuff out like this is real big, is a real huge trail marker, much like whenever Q posted the question of does P equal PAYSEUR. We're on the right trail. And I did watch the interview with Jordan Sather did with the fellow yesterday, who was really trying to shill him pretty much like happened to Dustin Nemos before, and their tactics are exactly the same. They will not address the issues. It's much like the Democrats will not address an argument about anything. It's just you're racist, or you're xenophobic, or you're misogynistic, or whatever it is. They will not address the actual question or the actual proof that's being presented to them, no matter how simple. We can reduce things down to the most simple common denominator, introduce them to people, and they still argue it on this complexity issue, like like the matrix or the program instills within the program masses.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, if people want to, do their Q codes, and if you don't agree with them for one thing, whatever, as long as people aren't subverting the movement, you know, and we have freedom of speech. I mean, come on, guys, we're not liberals here. We're people that love freedom of speech and love our country. So, just no more drama. Let's just go forward. Come on, guys.
And we love and we also love the action of a spirited debate. Like I really like to get in there and talk about things with people, and make points and counterpoints that where you see the person's angle, but you're also showing them, hey, okay, I understand there, but now look here, and try to get this open dialogue going. It's a trust thing, right?
Interesting you say that. That's a good segue there, bro.
Thank you, man. I was trying to get that lined up with the beat there.
Right. So, so I really wanted to let you know that, my first thread, was the PAYSEUR thread. And that one we did in, boy, this is like July 19th. It came out but we dug on it a lot sooner. It was just hard for me to figure out how to put it into a thread and make sense, right? So this is it right here. It was a group dig, and this is what we do, guys. We all dig together. This was part one, PAYSEUR thread, and I've got a part two now, kind of bringing it into, and every time we learn something, it opens up a new dig. And there have been many people in the Patriots United QArmy servers here. L9's been helping out. Where we go, one we go all. I mean, we've got, boy, so many people helping. And I want Q, we the people, Europe, we've got Patriot Land, Trustworthy Pirates, Conspiracy Fact, they're helping. Been doing some stuff with We the People Insider, Patriot Soapbox, they're good. And this one, QArmy Support, Tin Man, how you doing, brother? There's so many good things to going on out there. Patriot News, if you guys haven't been there yet, their YouTube channels as well. So been really working hard with a lot of different people. Twitter people, thank you very much. I appreciate it. So this is part two. It's called Trust the Plan. And, I really kind of want to show you how this happened. And then this is this is the War Drummer presentation on who is P right here. And, if you guys get a chance, check it out. I am so honored right now. It's taken off, and the platform there, was very good. So I'm not getting some good bandwidth right now on that. But let me just go back to, hang on. because this, okay, we're live, guys. Sorry about that. So this is the most important show. It's gotten 216,000, and there was 30,000 before. So just very honored that this is actually done well, because all I want to do is get my word out. So thank you, Sean, War Drummer. If you guys get a chance, check it out. And then there's a part 2 as well, where I go over some of the trust stuff, but I'm also going to go over it right here, so you don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah, it was a very interesting, an interesting little story where just to maybe lead in with that picture right there, and that picture being in the Q post, and your little your reverse image search.
Well, and this is how it really worked. So, I'm like, Q uses the word trust all the time, and we've got Google coming on, and you know, this is the Patriots fight picture, and I'm like, wow, he uses trust all the time. Do you trust Google? Do you trust MSM? Do you trust Facebook? Do you trust YouTube? Do you trust Twitter? Do you trust any of these guys, Shady?
I do not.
Okay, so with that being said, what's the mirror of trust?
That would be an antitrust.
Wow, right? So I'm looking at some of these trust posts, blah, here they all are. I mean, there's tons. I only got some of them. Trust, right? Trust. So it was trust stuck in my head, couldn't help it, and I'm like, so I googled trust and antitrust because I said, hey, let's do that, and I got this. I got this right here. I mean, I'm like, I got this right here. It's an article from 2009, May 11th, and I saw this picture in my image search.
And then immediately he knows that that's the image from the Q post. So see how future proofs past, everyone. Just to make this example, the connections are in there. They're in the drops. Q said it multiple times. You have more than you know. They're in there. And as we become more curious and start asking the web or each other more questions, or looking at the Q drop with an angle that's different than a lot of the times, Matrix, I like to just look at one and try to see what I can misunderstand, because it's amazing what you find in the mirror idea, or the think mirror, or the opposite.
Yeah, and this is the article is called "Restoring Trust and Antitrust Enforcement," and this photo on Q has had this photo on there since 9 November. What are the audits doing? Are they just worried about toots and all that stuff, and not digging? We found it. I found it. So let's go forward with the thread. I really just want to let people know. Q says reread crumbs every couple of months, man. So let's reread crumbs. Let's start digging, man. So as we learned from the PAYSEUR thread, the Rockefeller was a trustee for the PAYSEURs. This is what I first found: Standard Oil Trust. This is 600 or 100 shares for Standard Oil Trust, and we all know that the PAYSEURs. He was an agent. Rockefeller was an agent. He was a trustee for the PAYSEURs. This is the actual Rockefeller Morgan family tree. This is their list of trusts, basically, right here: financial, commercial, and industrial interests of the United States. It's dominating. Let me just blow that up for you a little bit.
Blow that up for a little bit, and you guys can read the middle portion of this, but also on the picture that he was just on, notice how all of this stuff is connected through just 2 tentacles to the center, and every other existing financial institution is plugged in around the center, with no other entities kind of even understanding they're part of the center. If you can actually take this and overlay it to what we would consider the family tree of these individuals, it would look all very similar.
That's right. And look at the railroads right here, Industrial Trust. We learned that GE, there's GE, there's US Steel. They're all right here, guys. So these are all PAYSEUR companies. Here's the railroads and the banks, guys. That's the key. Okay. We're going to learn a lot more about that. So that's what I was like. And then, I'm doing this thread and I'm getting this, and I get this constantly now. We're sorry, we're not able to send your tweet. So
yes, you guys done that.
The target.
Yeah, it's done that to me a couple times after I get some, like a multi tweet thing set up to tweet, and then it says, "Oh, you can't tweet it." I'm like, "Oh no, that means
That's right.
that means I'm gonna have to redo it."
That's right. And so I'm like thinking trust now when I'm looking at Q posts. Okay. And this is Q99, and it's basically US assets, location, foundations, institute, Soros, follow the money. Who pulls the strings? Strings detached. Strings. So if you're bound by a trust, isn't that being bound? You're bound by a trust. So let's cut the strings, pull the strings. The strings are detached. Open season on puppets. Who are the puppets? Where are the puppets? Global. So that one really just was like, okay, so when you're in a trust, you're bound by it, right? And then I'm like going, okay, so I just wanted to remind you guys all that Q 1970, that somebody we know, Luca, and I'll give you a shout out because I'm still so proud and happy that he did this. Asked on the boards and said, hey, Q, does P equal PAYSEUR? And when do we start seeing the pain? Where we go, when we go all MAGA, and Q reposted it. So it's not Pope, it's not Pindar, it's not Popeye, it's PAYSEUR.
It's definitely not Pence.
It's not Pence either. Yeah.
I've seen so many people say that. Yeah, and
Right.
and and and, and, and it's I think that a lot of people kind of get distracted a little bit because we've dug so far into the spider web of this whole thing, understanding there's really not a lot of difference between the Catholic Church and the Pope and the globalist deep state and the companies that are running everything. It's all the same web, and the illusion really is that we're somehow it's somehow this happenstance reality that we're living in that just keeps randomly happening, and it always ends up in the favor of less freedom.
Right. Right. And this was the post too. So it was wizards and warlocks save the best for last. P. We all know what wizards and warlocks are now, right? It's the guardians of intelligence.
The
So
guardians of the information.
of the information and
Right.
intelligence, right? And so that's interesting. And then more P. It's not Pope. So all of these families were trustees for the PAYSEUR conglomerate. Is basically what I found. These trustees do not own these corporations or banks. They're all in a trust, and these are their trustees. The group heir of trustees listed below: Lehman Brothers, Kuhn and Loeb, Chase Manhattan, Goldman Sachs. That's obviously a typo because it's Goldman Sachs. Chemical Bank of New York, Citibank, Schroeder Banking, Brown Brothers Harriman. We've heard of them before. William Sneath. Well, I have Wachovia Bank, which is now, what is that? Is that now Wachovia? What is that? They're now
That's
Wells Fargo,
well, yeah,
right?
that's Wells Fargo. Yeah, and
Warburg.
it's
Pynchon.
it's interesting too. We used to have the joke. The Wachovia was watch over ya.
It totally is. I mean, they're the all-seeing eye. That's owls watch you too, don't they? We'll talk about that later. Warburg, Israel Moses, Bank of Italy, Lazare Brothers, Bank of Paris. Interesting. Rothschild Bank of London, and where? Berlin. Interesting. So those are your trust holders at that time, right? So, and then a short note about the Rothschilds this time. It's the last bank mogul Tyrone of Rothschild was murdered sometime in 1990, and there's somebody else controlling now, not a Rothschild. So, that I just don't. Who do we're not supposed to not lose focus on somebody shady. Who was that again? Who was it?
Yeah.
Oh, Loop Capital, right? Jeez.
Oh yeah, and look at all the different things that are going on with Chicago now too. A lot of this, a lot of the Chicago debacle is starting to come into the conversation on the fringes. I've noticed in the last week or two of some spotlights being shown there. So it's it really has and also there's contention for these assets out there, everyone. There's contention. There is, they're literally like fighting over the control of these assets. At the same time, they're fighting for you to not know that they even exist, or that you are, every day as a commodity, as an American with a social security number being traded on the stock market without your knowledge.
That's right. I mean, so don't lose focus on, and Loop Capital. Who's that guy? He's Reynolds. It's part of the bloodline. So we did a little digging on him too. You cannot find the board of directors. It's probably a private company, just like some others that we know, like the Federal Reserve. And then
It was interesting that, you know, out of all the information that we could find, that one's eluding us still.
yes, exactly. And Loop Capital Markets happy hunting. Loop Capital CEOs, board of directors paying to play, slush funds. So this is what we're talking about. This is the Clinton Foundation right here, and what we're learning today.
And the
Uh,
model, you know, the Clinton Foundation basically serves as the model for all these other corrupt foundations.
Yeah, and I think that they're trying to take assets from, you know, the PAYSEUR / Rockefeller. She turned on somebody, or they're working with somebody. Something's going on there. It'll happen. Follow the money. You know, those look at the money. Deutsche Bank. We just saw some issues about Deutsche Bank. You know, I'm sure it's not a coincidence. Focus on the loudest voices in Washington. Watch the Maxine Waters. Net worth reconcile. So you know, he's asked us how can, you know, why can Maxine have a $4 million home out of her district and still be where she is? I don't know. It's beyond me. Who elects these people? I have no clue.
And she,
Um,
you know, did you see that Nancy Pelosi hasn't started taking down her wall around her huge mansion?
right. Exactly.
As she tells
Exactly.
everybody else that you do not need a wall. I mean, the the mayor from Tijuana was saying last night that they're, you know, that these people have turned violent in their city and that they're literally attacking everyone. And so just look at this, what these people were projecting onto us, that are just benign reality, but they're controlling us through this idea of deteriorating your society so that you really don't have any time to pay attention to how they're stealing from you, and the idea that someone could get paid 100,000 or 150,000, whatever it is, a year for Congress and be worth. I mean, what is she worth now? I mean, it's insane how much she's worth.
You think they say, hey, put your assets in this trust and you'll be rich? Okay. Yeah.
You know,
So
and
we're
that,
figuring all this out, guys.
and they share it. You know, this trust thing. It lines right up with the idea that they share everything, that they're going to give it back once they're gone from here. Da, 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 da. Look at how that lines up with how you can manage it with a trust that it's completely outside the purview of society.
Right. And there's Mr. Reynolds himself right there from Q Loop Capital,
Loop.
and the Reynolds bloodline. There he is, James Reynolds. He's the, you know, founder of Loop. And then, you know, where do we find the Reynolds? Oh, right here on the CIA.gov website. Okay, so now you have the rest of the story. So, you know, we don't need to spend too much time, but I have a feeling they're going to play a big part here soon, and we'll start to understand what's going on too. So, you know, the purpose of one holding company was to loan money to the third world countries from SA through New York banks. And, you know, we're talking about Saudi Arabia in this case, and they're lending money to third world countries via the Federal Reserve. And this is it. Think SA, orders important, SA, NK Armenia, Iran, who's next, right? Any other rogue nuclear states? Define hostage, define protection. Who protected the nuclear states? Trust the plan. The world is connected. That's going to be very important coming up too in this thread. Why are border states like Arizona and California important? Why is Mexico vocal against POTUS? Those who are the loudest, where we go one, we go all, the Great Awakening, Iron Eagle, and Liv and I kind of went in a dig. She found that it could be cryptocurrency, and I also found it could be the Federal Reserve because they have an Iron Eagle outside the building, and it was built by a French dude. I mean, there are no coincidences. PAYSEUR. And, you know, because it's their company, their railroad companies are the parent for the Federal Reserve, and we went through that on the PAYSEUR thread. Part one, and I can, you know, I'll tweet both of these out tomorrow, so you can get them on my Twitter at In the Matrix with 3 X's on Twitter. All right, so now we got, you know, not only do they plan to control the food supply via world seizure of all the farms, but they want to take control of us. That's what the goal is, and they haven't stopped with the borders of the United States. It's a global plan, and, you know, POTUS is making farmers great again. And there's a reason for that. And, you know, people are saying, well, you know, ethanol isn't very good. You know what? I don't care if ethanol is good or not. It's helping our farmers, and it's combating China's, and that's all in capital because it's really not China. You know, it's the one bank attempts to harm our farmers. They're trying to take all of their loans all of their land through into the into the bank system by foreclosures, so they can't afford it. Hey, sell ethanol so our farmers can live. Stand behind it. Don't shill it.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean that's a really good point to bring up there, because I know specifically that ethanol isn't necessarily the greatest thing for them to be doing with the corn, but we have all these farmers that are dependent on these crops that are coming off. They have contracts, and they're depending on their farm doesn't make it if we just cut them off at the knees. So it's a good analogy to look at this, to see a similar situation of what we're doing with the Fed and what we have to do with the Fed, and the way that the Fed is acting out. Now, what Matrix is talking about here with the trust, and he's talking about all the different these different corporations and these different entities. Centralize your thinking. That's the Federal Reserve. It comes from the Federal Reserve. It's all managed by them. That's how they're controlling the specifics of the wealth, and that's what is happening now with them raising interest rates. Notice how the Federal Reserve is raising interest rates and attempting, like Greenspan was on yesterday, Matrix, and he was saying, "Oh well, the economy's only going to be at 2.5% in the fourth quarter. It's never going to sustain this." So almost like oh, we got something coming. The Q drops that were just dropped recently indicate that they definitely had something coming for the spring, and also the Q drops talking about the gold and moving the money to gold. So we're gonna have this is like we're attempting to save what we have, as opposed to have something like a complete crash. Everyone just goes off in their own direction and attempt to reassemble later. Really attempting to maintain our structure while we restructure.
Could gold be the yellow brick road? Oh, well, that's for another time.
Follow the yellow brick road.
That is a cute post. So, well said, brother. Couldn't agree with you more with all that.
And supporting the farmers is huge. I mean, we've lost.
Huge.
You would not believe. I mean, the majority of America wouldn't really understand like how many have been gone just in the last 20 years. There were a lot gone before, but the large ag, we now have 5 companies controlling most of the meat production in the country, and you have 5 or 6 companies controlling all the media production in the company or in the country. So look at how it's all been whittled down, and everything is in these trusts. Everything has been collaborated. In the Q post, it said, what happens after years and years and years of you compiling everything? Eventually, you get everything.
Absolutely. So, then I kind of was like, even POTUS, he tweeted scot-free. I forgot to add that into this thread, into this post, but scot-free equals where we go one, we go all. Q0 equals Q plus. At what point do they wake up? Q. And I like that too, because I'm like, oh, wow, what does scot-free mean? Okay. So according to the Oxford English Dictionary of, this is how we work, guys. We have to start figuring stuff out.
And notice how the right after the mainstream media literally lambasted him because he spelled the name scot-free. So he, instead of the saying, which is with 1 T and a dash, so they all pounded him on this tweet, which drives so much more attention to it. And then wait till you see what he reveals right here about scot-free.
Yeah, because we all know that Scott Free did that that movie White Squall, right?
Yes.
That Q's been pointing us to, and it says like calm before the storm. It says anonymous. It says where we go one, we go all, and a couple of other things. I mean, just in the trailer. And then he also did a JFK video too. So, but then I'm like, okay, Scott Free. I've heard that before. Hey, Shady. Let's get out of here, and we'll get out of here scot free. Meaning we don't have to pay anything. Right? That's how we always kind of say that now. But it used to be a tribute. It's the tax. Scot is a tax or a tribute paid by a feudal tenant to his or her lord or ruler in
keep that up. You're doing good there.
Right? Well, that we are monarchy. We're being run by the monarchy. French, we are, and British. So, a similar tax paid to the sheriff or bailiff. Example of old Scots include soul Scots, which were paid by the clergy or church from the estate of a dead deceased person, death tax, which is gone now. Rome Scots paid the papacy in pre-Reformation days, and Scott Ailes. But so that's it. Scot-free would mean not having to pay taxes or fees, period. Even at times, the broader definition we still use today, excuse me, throat, man. Sorry about that, guys. Been talking a lot this week. In medieval days, scot-free, not to have taxes or fees. The broader definition today is simply getting away with something without penalty, right? So what does that mean? If we were to realize that our national debt is the interest to this crime against humanity trust, we could get off scot-free, guys.
And that's the thing that that's hard for a lot of people to understand, because we have been programmed with this idea of this debt that's hanging over us, and that we're operating in debt. And then we have Bush runs it up 5 trillion, and then Obama runs it up 10 trillion. And so who do we think logically, everyone, who do we owe that to? If they're going to sit there and say to us, as we the people, oh, we're not beholden to any oversight, we're a company that is of our own fruition, and we don't have to answer to anyone. Well, then it seems to me like you're kind of out there on your own whenever you go to think about, well, why do we owe you this money for printing money for us? So if you have if you're directly connected to these trusts, you're directly connected to these bloodlines, you're directly connected to all of this deception for the last 100 years. It isn't necessarily the case that we owe them this money. They owe us. They've stolen it from us, way over 20 trillion, Matrix.
It's it's probably more than that, but it's definitely it's everything, because it's all being controlled by trust, and the Federal Reserve does fractional reserve banking. It's all just it's a crime against humanity.
Yeah, and you could really
think big, bigger, biggest.
Right. You could really look at the Federal Reserve as the trust management center.
It's the crime against humanity. Think big.
Correct.
Think big. Pedophilia.
The world.
Bigger. Think bigger. The U.S. Think biggest. The world. And this is it. So trust control through a giant trust system, which was set up in the 1870s, that took the PAYSEUR family, roughly 40 years to get all the bank corporations set up and running. So they were organizing the monopolies. And Q post 275, fly, banks control governments, governments control people, SA controls elected people, Soros controls organizations of people. Ready to play? Q. And that's a huge post right there. And fly is going to be interesting later too, because we'll get there later.
Yeah. And also notice what he was just pointing out there, the 1830s to 1870s. We started going back and started looking at the history of this and the struggle that went on between Andrew Jackson and the central banks. Research that. It's incredible when you read about what Andrew Jackson was actually doing to them, and also what they did to Lincoln and what he was attempting to do. So this is not hidden. A lot of people are like, maybe even to bring that example about Jordan Sather and the way that they're attacked, they're not understanding that what we're attempting to discuss here is the history of our country in a real format, as opposed to the history of our country according to what the school and what the government told us.
Yep, it's all mind control.
It's mind control. That's right. Get with the program.
And then rewriting his story, right? So Napoleon said it best.
Right.
History is a fable, and it's told by the winner, and that's loosely translated. But history is a fable. His story is a fable, and it's told by the winner.
Yep.
Yeah. So then came a rash of antitrust laws, which made it illegal for anyone else to do what they were doing. Stay local, U.S. Global equals reflection of local. Think mirror. Know your enemy. Every battle is won before it is ever fought. Knowledge is power. And we're looking at this post right here. Stay local, U.S. Global reflection of local. And so they went global. And we showed in the PAYSEUR thread that the back in the early 1900s, the Peugeot committee were upset that they were expanding internationally. So this is all, coming together now.
Yeah, and as a way of preventing other entities from gathering together and making their own trust to compete with them, they would just upend every attempt to usurp the situation and swallow it.
That's right. And this is what did away with the competition. They have been doing, business long enough that the PAYSEUR companies and the bank railroad companies, so the PAYSEUR companies, the bank and the railroads were grandfathered in and could not be touched. Q94 says, Anon says Federal Reserve ending, Q says structure. Okay. And what we understand today, and this is from the PAYSEUR thread, is the Charleston, Cincinnati, and Chicago Railroad Company are the parent for the Federal Reserve. This is part of the PAYSEUR empire. This is the privately owned central bank of their proper noun, the United States of America, not these pronoun, lowercase u, verb, United States of America. We want our country back, guys.
And the difference between referring to your country as the United States as opposed to America, it's a very big difference on paper.
And you may say these United States as well. That's fine.
Correct. But the all proper, the United acting as the United changed us, much like your all capital letters on your driver's license. You can't really sign your name in all capital letters, right? You look at your driver's license, you cannot sign that name. What is that all capital letter? That's a surety. That's your company. That is not you. You're answering for that company. That is how you've become part of this conglomeration that we're showing you here. That this trust is you. It is us. We are the energy of the global economy right here within, from sea to shining sea, as Q would say.
Yep, we're cattle, man. We are just a number to them. We're part of the trust. Exactly correct. So in 1970, there was an antitrust legislation passed that abolished, all of their past anonymity. Supposedly, if you could ever hope to find out the common ownership of the banks, railroads, and global corporations. So basically, they're a monopoly because everything comes back to one. That is what this is saying, right? So Congress passed the Antitrust Act. Here it is, right here. It gives the Justice Department. Oh, wait, who needs to be clean before we have justice? The Justice Department. Oh, what was that gavel called that Q dropped? It was justice.jpg. The hammer, the gavel was called Justice.
That was the name on the picture, everyone.
That's right. And that's why Q posted Justice Department, because it's coming, guys. And it's antitrust. It's monopolies. These people are in violation. And we can go into that a little bit later. But, and if you want to just, whenever you want to stop, Shady, feel free. I can keep going a little bit, but logical thinking is required. Logical thinking. How can arrest occur prior to removing the corruption of the DOJ and FBI? So all of this is connected. The DOJ needs to enforce the antitrust. They can't do it if they're corrupt. They haven't been doing it. The Senate was the key, 53 to 47. The House can pass any impeachment crap and it'll get knocked down in the Senate. So don't worry. The POTUS is, he's isolated. He's protected. And then we need the Supreme Court, because this is a constitutional crisis, guys. This is, to do all this, our president is doing what Q is telling us to do if we read these posts correctly. So every one of these corporations, like I said, are in violation of antitrust because they all have interlocking common interest and a single ownership. The one who controls the Federal Reserve controls all. And that's the battle that we see. And this is the president Q post. The president has he poised to take control of the Federal Reserve. Look at that. Interesting. This is happening, guys. And this was July 20th when I found, when we were researching the PAYSEURs, right? So President Trump sharply criticized the Federal Reserve this week, saying the interest rate increases are hurting the economy, and Trump will have the opportunity to fashion the central bank structure, the central bank, in the image he would like, as he has 4 vacancies to fill on the Board of Governors. This is showing you that it's happening.
and that is what the focus is. You know, this is where the focus is. It's about this. It's about this is the conglomerate. This is how you can physically understand it. Is the paper? You know, follow the paperwork. That's where we have to go. We can talk about all this stuff as you know till we're blue in the face, but we have to follow this paperwork, and that is, in my opinion, what Q has been leading us to the whole time, is to get on the trail of this paperwork and start to follow it, start to expose it, and start to get people, even if you're not understanding it, even if you're not consuming it on a mass scale, but interested in it, is so vital to this movement and to understanding who we are as a country and how we are going to function in the future. This is not, you know, maybe one thing I could throw in here real quick, Matrix, is I would, you know, just like to say that, you know, we're not a bunch of helpless people that need saved by government, you know. So our you know, the idea that the government has swollen to this thing that it currently is. Well, you know, there's a lot of fear out there in people's minds that think, oh, well, government, if you don't have all this government, the truth is, you know, we want to shrink this situation down to its least common denominator. We want to use the internet, we want to use technology to take things to a much more realistic level, like the money out of politics, like the censorship free web, or the Internet Bill of Rights, the idea that you can be anonymous and be online, or all these, you can spend money without having to be tracked and encoded, and every single time you go to the doctor is, you know, put on your Facebook. It's, you know, to understand how we're being tracked is really just the beginning, because it makes you realize that yes, you're important to them. Why are you so important to them? Because if you stop believing they're garbage, then all of a sudden you're a threat, because you wake other people up. And that's the momentum that we're really trying to build here before a lot of this stuff hits mainstream. So we have a web of people and a group of, or an infrastructure here that can move the information around in a very efficient manner. And it's amazing, really, Matrix. You know, I have to say to all the people that come here and join me on the lounge every time I do a show, and all the people I dig with in Discord, and to you and all the other great Q people out there that are really just, you know, heads down every day. This is what we want to focus on. It is more entertaining and it is more interesting than anything you could ever put on the TV or put on the radio or any book. You know, we're seeing it happen in real time. I'm seeing definitely X amount of frustration on people's parts out there with the not moving as fast as you want it to move, and misunderstanding that things are moving faster than you think they're going to. But I would just like to say that those emotions are normal, and we all appreciate that you have them, but we also have to realize that we're not acting out of emotion, we're acting out of logic, we're acting out of thinking, and just recognize the amount of work that's gone into something like Matrix is presenting here, and what it really takes to, you know, to focus on this stuff. I mean, any of us that are here in the Discord tonight that are helping out, or Matrix, we could all be completely distracted with, you know, with what it is that is our life, but we all have this patriotic fire that brings us here together.
Passion.
Yes, it's a passion, and it burns in each of us, especially the red-pilled truthers out there. You know, it's like, you know, once you start derogatorily calling me a truther, I'm interested.
Boy, you're so bad. You tell the truth? I cannot believe it. What a truther. You should be more like a liar. I mean, do these people hear themselves? Do you hear? So we will never, Q post 1695, 2 + 2 confirmations, as we talked about, fast. We will never be under their control. Q. Done. That's it.
That's
And
it,
the
right?
timetable, Shady, it's running out.
It's running out.
Yeah, these leases to all the banks, rats are scurrying, right? Railroads, corporations, and December 31. This is when the leases were up, December 31, 1993, because of a merger between the Southern Railway and Norfolk Western to Norfolk Southern. They're in a race for control. I mean, it is panic mode, guys. Enjoy the show.
And enjoy it in real time. You know, don't take things so literally. Don't take things so to heart. We're all digging on these drops as if each drop represents a 40,000-foot view and each drop represents a rabbit hole laser pointer view. And that's, read it from the bottom to the top. Read it, the portions that are relevant to different issues connected to other Q posts. It's not about ingrained thought forms like we've been told to think in these ingrained thought forms. And we also learned, Matrix, that the Earth isn't flat, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I understand. We're not the only pancake out there. Right? Well, so let's just address that really quick, Shady, because I think we've had a lot of great discussion about that. JFK Jr. alive, Q, no.
Right.
Beth alive, Q, no. Earth is flat, no. All right. So basically what that means is, take your emotions out of it. I can't prove that Seth Rich is alive, JFK is alive, or the Earth is flat. So, let's just move forward. Put it aside. Disinfo is necessary. Everybody keeps saying, okay, so we can pick and choose what we think is disinfo, or do we just need fact? Okay, let's just get facts out. Disinfo is necessary, but we pretty much call out what the disinfo stuff is because we try to get the facts. And that's why we take our personal feelings out of it. Would it be great? Yeah. But what would JFK, okay, let's say JFK Jr. is alive right now and he came out and said, hey, here I am. Is our Federal Reserve taking over? Do we have control of the global finance? Is our country going to be better because of that? No. Would it be great? Yes, but it's not happening right now. So let's just move on, stay the course, and let's start focusing on just digging, reread crumbs. I see everybody on YouTube just looking at the new Q posts. That's well and good, but the good stuff is in the back. In the front, or whatever you want to call it, in the crumbs, and getting that Q clock out, checking it out is a great exercise to reread crumbs. Again, q-clock.com. Get out there and start looking, because sometimes these posts don't mean anything until 3, 4, 5 months later. When was my post that Q linked me to? May?
Yeah.
Think about that. Think about that, guys.
Yeah, and that is a big part of this, and that's something that that's something that's setting you beautiful anons out there, aside from the mainstream people who are stuck in that media model. They cannot handle any information that is not written down in a mainstream news article somewhere. And so they also cannot handle graphics, they can't handle memes, and they can't handle us having open discussion and disagreeing and still being a friend tomorrow. It's like they take everything, take the information so seriously. It is part of the illusion. It is part of the way we're being controlled. And that barrier we're all breaking down, guys. We're breaking it down together, and we're showing each other that the trust. Okay, the trust, what is the trust? What is it really? Is it really financially related, or is it related to we the people? Is it related to us? It's us. It's trust each other. Know that you've got each other's backs. Realize that we're not divided, and understand that we are, in theory, and, maybe this is just out on a limb theory, but in theory, what we need to do is create our trust, a new system that's based around a gold-backed currency that, 100 years ago, you could argue, oh, well, you can't carry around 500 ounces of gold. Today, you can easily have your gold stored, and you can have it monetized like a Bitcoin, for crying out loud. So it's not like we can't figure this stuff out. It's not like we can't sit there and say, oh, well, what is the Congress doing? Well, why can't each state have its own system that communicates with your representatives? It's not like just about the people who call. It's about everybody who is on the network, everybody who's a voter, who has the voice, who speaks up to our representatives directly in real time. We're not on wagons anymore sending people to Congress from the backwoods of New Mexico. We're right there. It's real time. The structure needs to be different, and the ideas, it's all about ideas. It's about anons, ideas coming to the forefront and being inserted and plugged into the mainframe to change our landscape and to change our ability to trust one another and our ability to know your money again. We have lost the idea of knowing our money. 90% of America is walking around and they literally think what is debt is money. And that is not the case. What is debt is debt is debt is debt. And your money says on it specifically a Federal Reserve note. If you know what a note is, that is a debt. That is a promise of money somewhere else. So your notes are not money, and your wealth that's stacked in the bank in those notes is not money either. That's the system that we're working on changing, and that's the system that I would like for lots of people out there to plug into. And you know, one of the reasons I really wanted to bring this information to the forefront on the show tonight is to kind of maybe be a springboard for what we're going to decipher and what's going to be going on in the future, because it is not going to represent, you're not going to recognize the future by looking into the past, everyone. The future is different. It's going to look different. It's going to be different. It's going to make me uncomfortable. It's going to make Matrix uncomfortable. It's going to make all you guys uncomfortable for a short time to reorient ourselves into this new thing. But once we do that, then we're in control. We the people. That's what we're going to demand. We're not standing around hoping that the government does the right thing, right? We're supporting our president. We're supporting this operation, but we also need to be realistic in understanding that we are quite able to self-govern. And whenever we continue to give away, look, this whole trust thing, this is all based on the idea of 100 years of people forgetting about what to do with their money. Really, I mean, that's what it boils down to, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is common ownership, one bank. This is antitrust in and of it. This is the epitome of the definition, what they're doing. And it is a crime against humanity. And it's corruption. Executive Order 1221 of last year, right? So, and Shady, to just, about what we're doing here, take emotions out. Let's just deal with fact only. I know it's tough to think about. I know people were hurt. I know it's kind of dividing the movement. Let's just drop it, move forward. Rest in peace, John F. Kennedy Jr. Rest in peace, Seth Rich. And let's just keep going. I mean, we're going to fight in their honor. Okay. We're digital soldiers. We're the QArmy. We're Patriots United. And we're going to be the new media. That's why we can't put out stuff that, is garbage. We just got to, it make us look crazy, because we're not crazy. I'm very smart. I've got a pretty high IQ. Shady, I know you do too. And I work with a lot of pretty darn smart people every day. And God bless you all. So we are going forward. And this is the executive order I just mentioned. This is something that I talked about earlier. They never thought, Shady, that we the people would find out what is really going on in the banking world, nor who is really running things. And we figured it out. And there's more to come. And to quote Q 1834, actually this is Q plus, they never thought she would lose. Now they all lose. Shady, they're going to all lose. This system with gold, with the restructure or structure of the Federal Reserve, we got them.
That is the linchpin. It is the point that we lost our wealth. We lost our wealth in 1933, whenever they demanded, the Federal Reserve stepped in, they demanded every American turn in their gold. It was melted down. So all the gold was melted down, and we were all going to put it in Fort Knox to get the country out of a debt that was created by a cabal to pretend like there was some sort of issue with the stock market. Whenever now we realize that everything that's connected to the stock market is a trust, is a bond, is a certificate, is literally you handing over your wealth to another party in due course and giving it away to someone. And similar with what you do with your birth certificate, similar to what you do with your Social Security, similar to what you do with your driver's license. All of these things are contracts. Understand UCC, Uniform Commercial Code. We're all contracting with the trust, okay? There's no law out there that forces you to contract with anything, but all our courts have upheld this over and over again over the last 100 years to instill a level of fear in us to not stand up in court and to not make ourselves outside the system. In other words, to not represent an admiralty system, but to return to common law, to return to the jury system, to return to a jury nullification reality, understanding what these different things mean. That is what we're moving into, and that has a lot more to do with our economy and our structure together. You know, like the Q&A where the Anon says, "Do we have the gold?" in Q2619, and Q says, "Yes, gold shall destroy Fed." Simple, simple. I mean, how simple is that, Matrix? 1, 2, 3, 4 words. Gold shall destroy Fed. What else do we really need to dig into to understand about that? You know, that's the conversion that we're attempting to make, and the whole deep state from top to bottom is fighting what? You getting dollars back on a gold standard as opposed to the petrodollar system that we've been currently working on for the last 45 years.
Yeah. And I'm just kind of looking and showing you guys all the banks here that Q
That
dropped for us.
That's all the the central bank locations around planet Earth, everyone. These drops were this list of banks was given to us. I don't think that was in January. I'm trying to find where I can look closer.
11 November 2017.
Oh, so yeah, so November, so even earlier than that, over a year ago. Specific, calling out all these trusts, all these banks that are under the same organization that you would consider Mark Zuckerberg or John Brennan or James Comey. Like, they're all cooperating systematically around the planet. The Pope, you know, all puppets of this trust that is literally what, you know, it is the manufacturing production of the American worker. It's all backed on your birth certificates. That's what it's backed on.
That's right. And that's the Admiralty law. And you can go into that later. And we probably will, because it's leading into that too. So, you know, right here, this is a trust. This Holy See loan to the Vatican, that's $229 billion is a trust, guys. Also, in the PAYSEUR thread, the owl pull at Patriots United basically pointed out that in the left eye of the owl, it looks like what looks to be like the Ark of the Covenant reflecting in the owl. And you know what a covenant is, right?
Trust.
Right.
I mean, that's what it is.
You know, your covenant to so it's all related, guy. It's all related. And this is one thing that I really want to talk about too, because I think it's important. Again, it's something that is in place right now. It's the Executive Order 13526, which that adds up to 17, by the way. And it is a executive order that Obama put in place. And it's section, believe it or not, 1.7. And it's classification, prohibitions, limitations, and no case shall information be classified, blah, blah, blah. But number 3, restrained competition. This is how we are going to use his stupid order that he put. These people are so stupid.
They are pretty stupid.
They really are, man. And this is game over. This is something that they made a mistake, obviously, in my opinion. And here it is right here. You know, you're going to look at restrained competition. I mean, wow, huh? So that's antitrust. That's monopoly. It's already an executive order, and we can say it's Obama's. And wow, guys, you know, scream at the sky some more, because together we win.
Yeah, and it's you know, constantly trying to get you mad over here, mad over there, mad over there. And what we're trying to do is focus you on what you really should be concerned about and what you really should be thinking is important. You know, we can spend the rest of we can blame every single one of them going back for 100 years, but we can also take the bull by the horns and move forward from here. And I think you made a very great point a moment ago, Matrix, to say that, you know, this is about the future. What we have experienced was dysfunctional. What we want in the future is a functional system that is representative of what we see in our lives, which is, you know, our beautiful families and our beautiful friends and our amazing place that we live, where, you know, where what we earn is potentially ours. We have to fight for it. Freedom isn't given to you. It's something that we are supposed to earn, but it is something that we can train a legion of Americans right now to etch in stone of history of how we got out of this mess, and make sure we remember how we got out of this mess, because, you know, the threat of this in the future needs to be eliminated now, And I think that's part of the reason why we're being asked to present a lot of patience, and that's why we're being asked to present a lot of resolve and a lot of thoughtful reconciliation. You know, it's and patience that we've been that's been cultivated in our hearts and minds, all of our hearts and minds, anons around the board. Whether you know whether you're a conspiracy person before, or whether you're just new to Q, or you're just finding out all this stuff, or whatever, it is that's important, and it is that we will rely on as our only function in the future is each other. That's where we're trying to get to. We don't want the government telling us what we can and can't do. We want each other dictating that and work out our differences with each other in a system. That's what the system is supposed to be. The court system is supposed to be a place where you and I can go and have a mediator, work out our differences, not where, you know, this huge structure with all this power and influence and ability to bring the hammer down on you and investigate things that they might find after they start looking at other things. You know, it's a topsy-turvy system, and Q telling you specifically what can be done until you have people out of there that are protecting the guard. The old guard has been protected until now, and you're seeing the exchange of the old guard. And that word, the guardians and the guard, has been coming up everywhere, Matrix. Even in the mainstream news, I'm seeing it in multiple different articles. Guard, the guardian. What do we know about the guardian of the Pope, and the drops that Q made, and the owl, and all of these symbolic connections to recognizing who the enemy is, and realizing that we are not going to fall to a pseudo-socialist communist idea of a state here simply because we have the idea of something better.
Yeah, we got this, man. This is it's going to be amazing. I'm really excited, you know, to be a part of this, and to be with you guys, you know. And wow, great, well said, brother.
Yeah, and
So, you know, I want to know just from you. I mean, this is pretty good. I mean, if you want to stop here, we can do this again, man. You know, I've added more. In fact, let me just give you a teaser that's going to happen Monday. I've done some research a little bit, and I just kind of want to give you guys a little teaser. And I'm going to do stress test for you guys. Okay. The Dodd-Frank was a Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act that is the massive piece of financial reform and legislation passed by Obama administration in 2010. This was basically an act that was supposed to protect us from what the 2008, what do you call it? The crash. You know, this was supposed to protect us, the Dodd-Frank stuff, and they called it stress tests. Okay, and you just can't make this up.
Now look back at the very last Q post.
So, and the Fed stress test failed. So here's the Dodd-Frank stress test on the Board of Governors at the Federal Reserve. I mean, I think this is what it means. I don't think it has anything to do with servers. I think it has to do with Federal Reserve ending structure. So that's a little bit of Matrix for you. That's some of the stuff that we've been digging. Actually, I want to hat tip one big sis on this one. You rock. I think you are one of the best anons I've known. I've known you for many months now, almost a year maybe, coming up on a year. And it was her birthday just the other day. Happy birthday, 5'5" sis. And you're very appreciated. Love you much, and love you guys much. Shady, I'm going to turn it to you. I think we covered quite a bit. Don't want to go too far over because we can do this again. And I've got a lot more for you guys coming up. Go check out my Twitter thread if you'd like. Make sure you get a hold of Shady Groove. In fact, if you want to see the original PAYSEUR 3 videos, they're right here. PAYSEUR, the #1, is in the Truth for Freedom here. Go check it out. That one's the first original one. Then there's part two, which still is a continuation of the PAYSEUR thread. And then we actually have the day that Q said that, you know, reposted, you know, Q equals P. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, I'm getting tired, guys. This is hard work. P equals PAYSEUR. You know, the night it happened, Shady and I did a special broadcast and just celebrated because that I was still getting shilled hard time by some, you know, people that don't matter. You're the ones that matter. I love you all. Much love, Shady. I'm going to be here for a little bit. I'll just kind of hang out, but I want to turn it back to you and just say, wow, man, thank you very much.
Well, I would like to just say from reading all the comments out there while you were talking with us, man, it's a great feeling to see so many people that are so supportive here, and so many people that have come to this movement to show their solidarity with an idea. And the idea is that, the idea is freedom. The idea of free country is an idea. At any moment it could be taken over, and it's something that has been whittled and whittled and whittled away out of our fabric. And I would like to just thank all the people out there in the chat for making Matrix feel really at home, and being so supportive of spreading the information around. And anyone that's out there that's new to us, I just want you to feel like you're part of it, and to get your voice, find your voice. Where is your voice? Is your voice on Facebook? Is your voice on Twitter? Is your voice on YouTube? Where do you fit in? Is your voice in politics? If you're someone who has this burning patriotic desire, and you want to move, to get involved, realize that the future is that. The future isn't us barely getting by on the least common denominator. The future that we want to provide, that we see for us, is abundance for everyone, abundance for what it is you believe in. That is where we want to find abundance. Is what makes you excited about life, what makes you exuberant, what makes you passionate in the morning. Maybe instead of having it a hobby in your garage, bring it out into the real conversation. Understand that, okay, how do I orient a business? Think about yourself in this beautiful huge. Quit demeaning yourself. And humility, yes, humility is a very strong and powerful art form, but at the same time, you need to let yourself shine. You need to let yourself glow, let yourself be one with the universe, because that really is where we're all going to find. That's where we're going to find each other in the end. Our division that has been cultivated is fake. It's phony. And so this is exactly what we want to be presenting: is something new, something exciting, something different, and information that is real and relevant to you in your daily lives, as opposed to this regurgitated this regurgitated concept. So everybody out there in the chat, please send Matrix some love, and we're gonna get him back on here. We got all kinds of stuff to dig into, and we didn't really get to any of the Q drops and stuff tonight, but I just had a strong desire to go over some of that stuff and establish this trust thing with you guys, and establish this idea of a trust, and this idea of a covenant, and how it's been used against us, and how we can sit here now and we can use it against them. So that's what we want to be thinking about in the future, is thinking about how you can evolve and become more of what it is that you want to be, as opposed to maybe some of the things that we've been told that we were, that maybe weren't exactly accurate. Aha! I hope everybody out there loved that. I could not resist that one, man. That is just really good. Great work there. I'm going to drop that link to that video down here in the chat for you guys. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope everybody had a good time out there. Don't forget to get over there, find In the Matrix, dig into those threads. There's so much information going on right now. We cannot all possibly keep up with it. We got to work together and we got to start together. So there's no better time than now to get off of here. We're going to literally go dig on this information. We don't need somebody standing there yelling at us, telling us what it is we're supposed to think. Every single one of them thinks that they deserve to tell you what you should think. And I'm sitting here telling you, don't let anybody but yourself program that computer in between your ears. You think logically, you do what it is that you think is best for you, and you discern the map, and you take the pieces apart and bring it to the conversation, guys. Feel free to post underneath here in the video in the comments. I also wanted to mention that this video will be posted after we're done here tonight, so you can catch a replay, share it with your friends. If someone asks a question, don't hesitate to help them out, and if you can't help them out, don't hesitate to send them to one of us. We're on Twitter at Shady Groove with 3 O's on Twitter, at In the Matrix with 3 X's on Twitter. Also, we got some of these beautiful anons out there with Cookie Crumbs with the K, Crop Duster, Tin Man, all these people loving you, bringing you massive sauce every week. We are here to spread the notion that there's a clear line between truth and the lie. And the lie is that they are the global elite. There is no global elite. You are the elite. Americans, you stand for freedom. We're the last bastion of freedom on this globe, everyone. Thanks so much to Matrix for coming over and joining us. Thanks so much to all of you other anons for hanging out. And I will see you Sunday.